Right, you're going to get a classic Doctor Who fans review on the new series with the first episode of the 60th anniversary, The Star Beast. Perhaps this video will offer an interesting take compared to others, but my childhood started with classic Doctor Who and black and white television. It's something I have a huge passion for, so much that I even collect this stuff. I know, such a goddamn boomer hobby these days, and this is the first time or one of the few times I am talking about the new series. It's a rare occasion. Now, with the video title having Classic Who Fan Reacts, do you believe this video is going to turn out a certain way? Well, let's see if you were right. So let's talk about the Star Beast, throw a few jokes here and there and give my overall impressions, and talk a bit about the Next Time Trailer 2 for special number 2. So now, pickles and pimples, let's begin. Obviously the first positive, which of course I'm going to talk about, is the wonderful and very smooth delivery of David Tennant and Catherine Tate going back to their roles. It's 100% going to bring back people to the days of their childhood. Russell T Davies' writing approach I will describe as light-hearted and being slightly camp and corny, and sometimes made me cringe a bit. Sure did. I wasn't expecting the first special to be anything too dense, but something more light-hearted and silly that works as an introduction episode. Though if this was a solo special and that was it, yes, I would obviously be underwhelmed. I expect the other two episodes to, let's say, raise the stakes. Obviously with the Toymaker, who is an immortal being who is indestructible and cannot be killed, and is the closest thing to a god in terms of Doctor Who canon, and the supposed creepy story following next. But back to these two, it's almost like they never left the show. I'll talk about them further in this review. The prelude scene, it was almost like the Doctor was in a character customization menu in a fighting game.
Respect for the fallen who fought so bravely.
Come back after some training.
Breaking the fourth wall isn't the first time the Doctor has done so, with the fourth Doctor referencing the sonic screwdriver won't get him out this time in The Face of Evil. But I gotta admit, when I saw that scene, I was literally thinking about a fighting game menu in a character customization. The direction and animation makes me think back in the day how much better we have it in this area, because watch this episode, then go back to something like Love and Monsters. It's almost comical. I will admit, a little shocked how quickly the Doctor stumbles across Donna. I thought it would just play around with that, but it's like almost 30 seconds within the story. The Rose part was pretty funny too, with the Doctor's reaction, almost having flashback moments. Why is the 10th Doctor's face back? That comes up in the topic of discussion, also near the end as well. It's 100% the Toymaker, we already know this by now, who throughout the stories the Toymaker has been, and of course the original First Doctor era story, has the ability to manipulate almost anything in reality. From people, the environments, the mind of an individual. So the Toymaker is obviously 100% behind it. Maybe he's even controlling Donna. I mean, come on, she did some pretty suspicious stuff in this episode. Like how she casually threw coffee over the TARDIS console. Yes, that is something she would do, but it makes you think. Okay, when it comes to the new series, I lost interest in Doctor Who around Series 9, and I never actually returned to it until today, believe it or not. Doctor Who is going in the right direction. It feels more updated, more grand in scale, which I am all for. But hold on, we gotta hold the phone a little bit here. You cannot slap the most unslappable face of all time. Look, it's not a good thing to judge an entire episode with 1 second scene, but I personally do not care for it. I say this because I do, in my spare time, work in domestic violence, and it's common that violence against men is almost a scene of comedy, which I don't. But it's a scene and a scene alone, so I'm just gonna be indifferent about it. I personally don't care about it. Most people will probably just brush it off, but it is what it is. I'm gonna say it again, how can you slap the most unslappable face of all time? Meep, this fluffy little gremlin, is frankly adorable, but we know in Doctor Who that's like the worst thing to do. Don't judge a book by its character. Throughout the entirety of Classic Who and New Who, that's been a very common message pushed. It's obvious that Meep the Beep got inspiration from something. It's pretty obvious. Originally the Meeps were a highly advanced peaceful race which were known for their happiness, but the race was mutated by the rays of what was according by their home planet, the Black Sun, which turned them into conquest-hungry, planet-grabbing killers. So So that is why Meep the Beep is an evil narcissistic gremlin. But that explanation is in fact in the comics, and it's never actually detailed in the episode. Okay, I wasn't surprised by Meep's more villainous side coming out. Again, splendid performances, mind you. But I was not surprised because I was aware of the comics. Now, floating around on Twitter, yes, I am sorry, I am referencing the literal digital shit tip of the world, with a scene revolving around Rose interjecting the Doctor about asking an alien pronouns. I believe this scene from Sonic the Hedgehog details it well, of how it went down.
I'm gonna be talking shit about you later, but I want to do it right. So why don't you tell me your pronouns?
Unlike you blue-haired liberals, I don't have pronouns.
What? Everybody has pronouns.
I don't. You will refer to me only by my name, Shadow the Hedgehog.
Well, at least he gets the concept.
Pronoun police! You said he, which is not Shadow the Hedgehog's preferred pronoun.
Shit, my bad.
I'm gonna be mean straight away. You are a fluffy narcissistic gremlin.
Meep beep, motherfucker! You misgendered me, you little shit!
But I gotta stop Meep the Beep right there. There is only one definite article, and it ain't you. Meep starting out as a defenseless little gremlin space rat, and then going basically fuck it, and couldn't be bothered to keep up with the act was pretty funny, I cannot lie. The Wraith Warriors, their voices, they remind me of like the Monoptera from the Web Planet, almost comical and silly. And this is what the Star Beast is. It's silly, goofy, corny, and slightly cringy. It reminds me of the Doctor Who comics in many ways, and even sometimes the Virgin New Adventures books, especially like the Bernice Summerfield ones. But I know what Russell T Davies is trying to achieve, because I can see how he's trying to complement both and reference Classic Who, the new series, and even the comics, the extended media, into this episode, and I feel the other two specials hopefully follow this direction. The Wraith Warriors 100% feel like they're straight out of the comics, though it does feel when the story passes by, these monsters will simply be forgotten about. I doubt these monsters will stay in my head after a few weeks, maybe even a few days, or when I've done recording this video. The Wraith Warriors and the Meep, if you want to hear more of them, the comics is somewhere where you have to go, because the story, its main objective is just to a setup and bringing back characters. And does it succeed in that aspect? Yes, it does. It's nothing too dense. But back to Donna and the Doctor. I do like how Donna slowly is building up her memories back of remembering the Doctor, which we were led to believe the Doctor understands that she will die if she goes through this process. That whole scene obviously plays a lot of homage to the end of time. The Doctor and Donna working as a team, despite Donna not fully knowing who the Doctor is at that moment, but just building back memories. And despite the Doctor's reluctance to go through the process, I enjoyed it, so fair play. My criticism from this episode, it's just two specific scenes, and that's it. So I'm not going to give it a bad score by what I think about just two scenes. I think that is just unfair and just not a good way to actually rank, review, or rate anything. One I've already mentioned, the other one is right at the end of the story, which is a classic example of Doctor Who rewriting rewrites.
Yes, we know.
We know everything. Thanks.
And you know nothing. It's a shame you're not a woman anymore. She'd have understood.
We've got all that power, but there is a way to get rid of it. Something a male-presenting Time Lord will never understand.
It's been apparent for the Doctor that gender is something that isn't associated with Time Lords. But why would the Doctor be referred to as a male-presenting Time Lord who doesn't understand? It's pretty funny considering the Doctor was a woman literally a few hours ago. So why does the Doctor, by no longer being in his previous incarnation, mean that it's no longer valid? Because now the Doctor is a male-presenting Time Lord instead of a female-presenting Time Lord. This scene, I believe, was very badly executed and almost against the code of what Doctor Who is trying to achieve. This is regressive, not progressive, is what Doctor Who has been its entire 60th history. This is pretty regressive because I'm pretty sure there's transgender people who are male presenting. Just saying. So it sounds pretty regressive and honestly comes across as a bit hypocritical at the same time. But hey, don't worry, I've got your back. I think this scene would have played out so much better if Donna said to the Doctor, "You are not human." You wouldn't understand. I think that would have worked so much more because the Doctor and the whole human thing, that's been played around in Doctor Who before. I think it would have landed better. Because it's got levels to it. Here, it actually comes across as regressive. Even though it's unintentional, it can be perceived that way. And look at this scene where the Doctor's told he doesn't understand.
It's a shame you're not a woman anymore. Because she'd have understood.
We've got all that power, but there is a way to get rid of it. Something a male-presenting Time Lord will never understand.
I mean, look at the Doctor's face. It's like he's almost having Vietnam flashbacks of the caves of Androzania and the Time War. I mean, geez, Doctor, just let it go. Flip it out. Yeah, it just doesn't work on the Doctor. It just feels off that the Doctor is the target of this message. It would make more sense if you said it to the Master, or like Davros or something like that, but the Doctor, it just doesn't feel right. And that is why I make the statement, if Donna said, "You are not human and you would not understand," that would actually have weight to it and levels. So 2 specific scenes aren't going to affect the entire rating because that's just silly. Overall, this episode was funny in places, silly, corny, and I would admit slightly cringy. I did find moments very heavy-handed, and I would say badly executed writing near the end. That comes across as more regressive, but as I've stated, it's unintentional. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I personally prefer more of the dark, bleaker storytelling. I mean, my cup of tea is literally this. I consider that my 10 out of 10s. So I know people have been rating this like 10 out of 10 often. I'm not going to go and say that. I'm not going to declare it as groundbreaking. I think the story is rather simple and easy and straightforward to watch. And I think that is absolutely fine for a beginning introduction special for the 60th. I think there's nothing wrong with that. Does it achieve it in that department? I would say yes. It's simply a light-hearted romp which will bring people back to like their childhood of watching Series 4. That is what it's going to do, and it does it well in that department. By the way, love the TARDIS interior, love the blend of classic and New Who, but I'll be surprised if they just use that for the 60th, because my word. Now the next time trailer. Now I've talked about this before, some are clueless on who the villain is, what the villain is. Let me tell you, I get major Ark in Space vibes from the next time trailer and some of the clips that have come out on the special number 2. The fact that Russell T Davies' favourite classic story is the Ark in Space, the scene of when they're going through this, almost like this data center area, feels very reminiscent of a scene that played out in the Ark in Space. The green substance running down a vent, which I see it as Wirren lava tracks, and the scene of this cricket-like sound, which sounds like an insect. I believe the monsters in this are the Wirren. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my theory. But I see too many things that point at this. Some are saying the Flood, which I would think would get an amazing reception. Weeping Angels, some people are saying, I don't think so. The former is more likely the Flood. I will not be disappointed if it is the Flood, but my guess is in fact the Wirren, by being Russell T Davies' favourite classic story. The setup and many of the clips feel very Ark in Space-like, and this vent scene, which the trailer clearly focused on it with this green substance coming down, I declare that as Wirren larvae tracks. But again, I could be wrong. So that's my thoughts of a classic Who fan reacting and reviewing to the first special. Perhaps you enjoyed my viewpoint, maybe not. But I must admit, the other 2 specials 100% interest me more, which is obviously a good thing.